Hello, people. I'm not in Florida anymore. I'm in northern Michigan, up on my property. I'm sitting on the porch of the summer cabin. I had planned to come back anyway, but not for like another 10 days. My daughter was like in distress, so I came back a little bit early, took care of some shit down in Detroit. Now I'm up here. I didn't do any reading for like a whole week there. But finally, I have finished a book, the Arcanum. And Arcanum just means like recipe or procedure. And this book deals with porcelain, when Europe was unable to make porcelain. And a guy named Botger, he's the one that kind of discovered the Arcanum for porcelain. It wasn't a bad book. My wife read it before I did. She really liked it. I don't know, I never got into it totally. A lot of different characters in the book, and as much time as they spent with character development, I don't know, I just didn't understand these people. Maybe because I have so much other shit going. I don't know. Now I have a whole week here, like by myself. It's gonna be fucking fantastic. My kids are both gonna come up on the 20th, so I'm here for like, today's the 10th. I probably won't upload this for a little while because I cannot upload from here. My kids are gonna come up next Monday. This is Sunday, so I got an entire week to fuck around here. I'm doing rearranging inside the cabin. I'm putting up shelves. I would probably be working on putting up the shelves, but just my scrap wood. I'm out of scrap wood. It's Sunday, and Pine Lumber in Millersburg is not open. So back to the book. I only got a few notes here. This was published in 1998, 303 pages. And my next note is the cover painting. You won't be able to see it, but a lot of the books that I read, it's typical for these books to have this kind of a painting on the cover. And sometimes they give you information on what the painting is, who did it, when they did it, what the painting is of. This shows a battle. I'm guessing that this battle is either during the First or the Second Silesian Wars. Of course, we all know the Second Silesian War is the 7 Years' War, and over here in these parts, we call the 7 Years' War the French Indian War. And a lot of historians would love to call the French Indian / 7 Years' War the First World War, because it took place in so many different places, so many different parts of the globe, and it, there was so many combatants, so many different combatants. But enough of that. This book is not about that. Quotes at the beginning of chapters, and I really like that. Every chapter starts out with a quote in italics up at the top. They tell you who the quote is from, what the date is from. The only thing I didn't like about it is one of them was in French, and they did not give me a translation. I run into that enough to where I can, if I want to bother with it, I'll fuck around and try to translate it. But this was a big, long one. A little bit of reading here, second paragraph, page 43. Oh, I just happen to be there. At the beginning of the 18th century, true porcelain was only made in the Far East, primarily in China and Japan. Maybe that's why they call it China. Silk, lacquer, and spices had been imported to Europe since the Middle Ages via the Great Silk Road, the overland route from Asia to the West. But porcelain was too fragile to be transported in such a way, and the few pieces that arrived in the West were mostly shipped through the Gulf of Arabia or the Red Sea by Arab traders. There was no large-scale organized trade until after Vasco da Gama's voyage of discovery in 1497 opened a sea route to China. And then I have bottom of 93 and something like bottom of 95. Something that I can't make out there either. Can't read my own notes. By far the most numerous and successful of all the objects made from Botger's revolutionary red stoneware were vessels for the three drinks that had been introduced to Europe in the 17th century and become entrenched in the social habits of fashionable society: coffee, chocolate, and tea. So these things haven't been around for forever. Second paragraph 227 and third also. Oh, this is about Augustus the Strong. He was the king of Saxony. This guy Botger opened up a factory where they made porcelain, and it was in Saxony, in Dresden, or very close to Dresden. It was certainly not the sort of death he would have chosen for himself, for when he heard the story of the French regent, the Duc d'Orleans, who was rumored to have died in the midst of an epic love-making session with his mistress, Augustus was recorded to have declared, "Oh, that I could die in such a way." His was to be a lingering, less pleasurable end. Despite the best efforts of the royal physicians on February 1st, 1733, having candidly confessed that all my life has been one ceaseless sin, the ruler of Saxony and Poland finally breathed his last. They called him Augustus the Strong, not just because he was a large, powerful man, but because of his legendary sexual escapades. After lying in state in the cathedral in Warsaw, he was buried in Krakow, but his heart was brought back to Dresden, encased in a metal casket, and still lies in the crypt of the Catholic court church, the Hofkirche, built by his son. In Dresden, some say that when a pretty girl walks by the king's heart may still be heard to beat. Bottom of 298, top of 299. That's what I read today. I just finished. I only had a few pages to go. And I just finished it. If I would have had some fucking 2x4s, I would have finished what I was doing, and I wouldn't have finished this book. For its part, Dresden, city of Augustus the horseshoe crusher, and his ravishing mistresses, still bears the scars of the fateful nights of February 1945, when almost the entire center of the old city and 75,000 of its inhabitants, plus inestimable numbers of refugees fleeing the advancing Soviet army, were annihilated in vengeful Allied bombing raids. The bombs were so many and so lethally concentrated that they created a firestorm, an oxygen-consuming inferno suffocating most of the unfortunates who were not burned or crushed to death. A massive column of heated air rose and produced suction of such intensity that roofs and the core fabric of buildings were swallowed by the raging heat. Afterward, there was scarcely a building or a person left standing. I knew about the bombing of Dresden, and as I read the book, I was like, is this author even going to fucking mention that? Because so many of these porcelain things, they still survive, and just had me wondering what the hell, how did they survive? But he doesn't give much explanation about all of that. It was a pretty good book. The fact that they couldn't make porcelain was very interesting. And Botger was an alchemist, and he first came to Augustus. He first came to his attention because Botger claimed that he could make gold, and he tried to make gold for a long time, and at the same time he was trying to make porcelain. So once he made the porcelain was very valuable at this time. Once he was able to make porcelain, Augustus said, you know, fuck making the gold. Just make me some of that porcelain. Augustus was crazy about porcelain. He made palaces for thousands and thousands of pieces of porcelain. Anyways, thanks for watching.